All right, to hear almost everyone tell, including the President of the United States today, the longer this shutdown drags on, the worse it is for everybody. Small businesses, he says, are losing out on $1 billion a month of loans from the SBA because it is shut down. But Gold Coast Bank President and CEO Joe Perri says the flip side of that story is you're getting flipped the wrong story. Now, he's not going to flip an expression of his anger over that, but he is telling us now to just calm down here, right?
Absolutely, Neil. You see, what happens is banks my size, the community banks, practice relationship banking. We look for relationships. We try to help relationships. We're very consultative. We have our leadership, our senior managers involved. I get involved in loans. So
more so than you would if you didn't have a shutdown?
Absolutely. Because
so that $1 billion worth of lending that stops with the SBA, do you pick up some of the slack?
Yeah, we pick up some of that slack and help facilitate and act as bridge loans until the SBA loans can pick up. And we work with a lot of groups. We're working with a 50-member aerospace manufacturing group. And we step in like we did when we had Sandy,
right,
was the same
that.
thing. We set up special loan applications. We send our people down to give advice to these businesses, because you have to realize many of these small businesses are living like individuals do, paycheck to paycheck.
But are you afraid in picking up the slack or trying to help folks out? And again, you have a big heart here, but you also have to make some money. I mean, do you lend to those who are risky?
They're risky at a point in time. You see, what happens is, absolutely, I still need to make money for my stockholders. I still need to satisfy the banking regulators, so I can't willy-nilly lend money out. The companies have to be creditworthy. But what happens with banks...
And you're defining that as a lender here.
Absolutely.
I mean, so you still have very high standards when you lend. You're not just...
We're not just lending.
These aren't subprime loans.
No, these aren't any subprime loans. These are companies that are really in a temporary gap situation where these companies historically, they have receivables, they have assets, they have contracts. So, but for this particular point in time, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Where do they go? What do they go? Who wants to go and help them? And that's what we do.
And then you pick up the slack. But you've heard what the president has said about this shutdown, how long it drags on, what a threat it is to the economy. Do you think it is? Do you think it is going to push us into something really bad?
I think the longer it goes on, it could, because what people do not realize, and I was sitting with this manufacturing guy, I had 50 manufacturers, and they were saying that even if this goes on for a week, you have to realize there's a multiplier effect. It goes from contractor to subcontractor to subcontractor, so that by the time the government starts up again, it's been over a month to 2 months before the pipeline gets fed with the contracts that are stopped. So really what happens with these companies is the poor subcontractor down the end of the line, he doesn't know what he's going to do for a month or
But
2
isn't
months.
that business delayed? In other words, I don't want to be cavalier or dismissive about the pain. But first of all, 80+% of the government is still operating. And now we know that furloughed workers, something we're going to get into later in the show, are still going to get paid retroactively. So is it as damaging on the economy, or is it like squeezing a balloon? Whatever you're squeezing out here will pop up later, and all will be kind of equaled out?
No. You're going to have a problem here, because what happens is, although they say 80% of the government is still operating, what you have is psychologically the prime contractors see the slowdown. There are slowdowns in their contracts.
Right.
Yeah, the government has started to send some government inspectors around, and that will help keep contracts moving, but it still slows. So what happens is the prime contractor says, I may not have this contract, this money coming in.
So there's a real demonstrable effect.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you're trying to help in the...
And we're trying to help by providing bridge loans. You know, we're not the kind of bank that just sits and lends you $100,000 and walks away. It's all about relationship and leadership of the bank. And unfortunately, it's leadership that we're not getting out of Washington.
That is an understatement, Joseph. Thank you very much. Great seeing you.